Ba-bum. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Dr. Bones Like a Podcast. I'm your host, Ben. And this is the podcast where we take 5 minutes a day to review the daily webcomic by Jason Ball 34, titled A Pirate's Life. Today we got it's the yesterday comic, the 7th of June. Today we got a two-paneler. We got the captain. He says to Mr. Pine, he says, I'm reading this book on anatomy. Fascinating stuff. And Mr. Pine says, oh yeah, what makes you say that? And the captain says, I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet. I think it's like a voice box or something. So can we get a Peter explains the joke from the host of this podcast? And Peter says that the captain can't read. So he actually can't, he doesn't know how to use that book. That's like completely a foreign object to him. And so he thinks that it's just going to talk. It's going to tell him about anatomy. The book is on anatomy, so he thinks it's a voice box. Like, you have a voice box in your throat, right? So he thinks the voice box is going to read him the book on anatomy and something. And that's basically a logic gate. He thinks it's gonna go bum ba-dum ba-dum bum ba-dum ba-dum ba-dum. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dr. Bones Locker podcast. And so Dexter's like, sorry, this isn't Dexter. What am I saying, man? I shouldn't really be on this podcast. So Mr. Pine's like just completely confused. So yeah, that's basically the joke. You can see the front of the book shows a man, presumably a man. If it was a woman, it would have hair. So that's how you know it's a book on anatomy, or at least is a book about somebody. Not about like a thing, like the kind of thing that you see in a book, like a book about a pig or something, or like an animal, or like just not about anyone. So you know it's about someone, and so it's probably about anatomy. It would be funny if instead of anatomy he said, I'm reading this book on Anatoly. That would be like one letter changed from anatomy, and I think that would be really funny if Anatoly, Mr. Banana Man, we could have like the guy on the cover of the book be wearing a banana on his head, and it would kind of be like a non sequitur, That'd be funny. I would appreciate that. I mean, I wouldn't actually, but it's fun to think about these kind of things, when you're reading these comics. Like, what if they did that instead? I don't actually think Jason Ball should do them, because that would be not funny for the general audience. But it would be funny for like a certain small group of select few, if you will. So what else happens here? He hasn't gotten that far yet. That's obviously like a funny thing, because he hasn't actually even opened. He's opened it obviously because the book's partially open, but he hasn't actually read it. So he's kind of like exaggerating about how far he's gotten. He says he hasn't gotten that far yet. He hasn't actually even started reading it because he can't read. He's illiterate. He's kind of like that character from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He can't read. And that's like a funny thing to say too. Like, you open a book and you're like, I can't read. I think there's a funny joke somewhere in there. Sometimes when I'm like, so that's like when I'm making like a non sequitur joke. That's a good punchline. Is I can't read. So the captain's he's just a funny guy today. He's just a funny guy. This is a comic that could be verticalized, I think. I don't know. I was going to talk about that a few episodes ago, but I sort of forgot where they go upwards, and it goes top to bottom instead of like left to right. I think I might have that completely wrong. All right, we got about a little over 10 seconds left, so I'm going to give this comic a rate. I'm going to say, you know what? This is a 5. It's a solid 5. There's nothing special about the joke. There's nothing amazing about it. It's sitting there. All right. Thanks.